There comes a moment in life when you have to decide, are you playing it safe or are you all in? This is All In Empowerment, the podcast where we crush fears and step boldly into the life you were meant to live. I'm your host, Betsy Martell, coach and adventurer, here to push you past your limits and unlock your full potential. It's time to level up your life because empowerment isn't just a mindset, it's a commitment. So are you ready? Because in this space, we don't tiptoe, we go all in. Okay. So today, everybody, on All In Empowerment, I have Dan Trawicki with me. Oh, Dan.
Unfortunately for you, but it's true.
No, it's fantastic. So, Dan, I'm going to try to do the best introduction I can, but you're going to have to help me.
Sure.
So Dan was a sheriff, a county sheriff in Wisconsin for a long time. How many years?
34 years.
34 years.
Right.
Okay. And taxidermist?
True. Very true. The entire time. Yep.
Taxidermist. Right. Okay. Ironman competitor?
True. Yep.
Is that what we call them?
Yeah, no.
Participant?
Ironman competitions. True.
Competition.
Yep.
Okay. And just a really inspiring person who really believes that mindset, mind over matter, and, you know, pushing past your self-imposed limits, pushing past self-doubt, pushing past fear. So I really want to talk about that today because it's so interesting to me. I've never really talked about you being a sheriff. I've, talked to you about Ironman, and I would just like to know kind of how it all ties together. But
Sure.
Just start with, how did you get into the police force?
Okay. So funny enough, Betsy, I can remember the day that I decided I wanted to be a police officer. I was 16 years old. I lived in Brookfield, and back in the day, I worked at Kohl's food store, and I was a quote unquote bagger. And you would put the grocery bags in people's cars back in that day. And as I was putting the groceries in somebody's car, I saw a Brookfield squad go red light and siren westbound on Capitol Drive, and I thought, that looks like it would be a fun job. And literally that day, I decided I want to be a police officer, and so the rest is I just did it,
It was the sparkle and the bling, wasn't it?
It was the red lights and siren going really fast that I thought, oh yeah, I want to do that. Yep.
You forgot that maybe you could be shot at or stabbed or anything like that. But
True.
So where did you start as a police officer?
Okay, good question. So I was going to college, and I saw an advertise. I grew up in Brookfield, like you did.
I grew up in Tulsa.
Okay,
close enough.
We have a lot of common friends from
Yes.
Brookfield. So
Yep.
I saw an advertisement that the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department was hiring cadets, which was basically a clerk's position. And so I thought, well, I'm in college, I need a job. And back then, everybody worked full-time and went to college full-time. That's just what you did.
Yeah.
And so I applied, and I had never heard of the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department. I had no idea what they did. I grew up in Brookfield, and I got hired as basically a clerk in the jail, working from midnight till 8 o'clock in the morning. I'd get off of work, change my clothes, go to college full-time, go home, go to sleep. My mother would wake me up, feed me dinner, and I would go to work in the jail in the Sheriff's Department. That's how it started.
Yeah. And so how long were you an officer before you became a sheriff?
So funny enough, I worked there 34 years, and I was a deputy and a detective and a sergeant and a lieutenant and a captain, et cetera, et cetera. And then at one point, the current sheriff, who was Bill Krasicki at the time, had an opportunity to become the U.S. Marshal for the Eastern District of Wisconsin. At that time, I was like the number 3 person, the deputy inspector. And my really dear friend, Bob Johannick, was the inspector. And when Bill was leaving, we were like, who's going to be the next sheriff? I'm like, Bob, you've got to do that. And he's like, there's no way. Like, you have to do it. And I thought, I have no interest whatsoever in being the sheriff. Zero interest. Well, I must have lost a card game or something, whatever it was. So I decided to run. And, it worked out good. I did get elected. And then I had 2 other elections. And so I wound up being the sheriff for 12 years. And so the last 12 years of my career there, I was the sheriff. Yeah, it was nice. It was a great career, great place, great department. I loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
What would you say were your biggest challenges being in the police department, being sheriff?
Probably personnel issues, because like as the sheriff there, believe it or not, so I had like approximately 400 employees. We housed 700 inmates every single day between the main jail and Huber. And so there was just like constant personnel issues, and so when you're at that point in that part of your career, it has very little to do with law enforcement. It's all policy, procedure, personnel. And so, personnel issues were difficult. Just because you're a police officer or you work for the sheriff's department doesn't mean that things won't go wrong. And they did. And so that was
still
difficult.
A business, right? I mean,
1,000%. I mean, I had a big budget, which was dollars and cents, and housing inmates in the jail. And so, I mean, it was difficult, but I had a really, really great staff. I mentioned Bob Johannick, who was a dear, dear friend and just was so solid and so good. And the current sheriff, Eric Severson, great guy. He worked for me for a long time. He's a great sheriff right now. So I think for me, the key was surrounding myself with a really, really smart people, because I knew that I was really not that smart. And so I needed to have smart people around me, which I did. I was very lucky that way.
Well, and I think that's what all great leaders say. I think even the smart ones say they, and I'm sure, and here's the thing, you're smart. Okay, let's just, but I think it's always to surround yourself with people that know more than you in certain areas, right? Like you might be good in one area, like super bright, right? But you're not expected to know every single facet.
No, not at all. And I think the key is you want to surround yourself with people that have opposing viewpoints once in a while. Like I used to tell all of my new supervisors, so you're going to be in a group of 10 people, okay? All the employees are going to be around you. Five of them are going to slap you on your back and say you're the greatest guy ever. 3 of them won't say too much. And 2 of them absolutely do not like you whatsoever. Here is the problem. You don't know who is who among that group. And so, it was just dealing with employees and dealing with personality, but I was really blessed when I was there with a really, really great staff and good people that really made it a great job for me. It was good.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go into taxidermy. You said you did that. Okay. I forgot the part that's how we met.
True.
That
right.
He's an avid hunter. I am a newly avid hunter.
Right.
I think I've been hunting 5 years, maybe almost 6 years now, but 5 years, I think. But I kind of went from, 0 to 60 pretty quick in that one.
You did. Right. Right.
And so, your taxidermy started when?
So it's a weird deal. Like I started doing taxidermy when I was like a teenager. When I was in, so I went to Brookfield East and I went to Burleigh before that. I'm a Brookfield boy, and my biology teacher, Mr. Risch, I still remember it, in the 9th grade, was an amateur taxidermist, and he had all these mounted animals in his biology room, and he'd be like, "If you want to learn taxidermy, you can come into class ahead of time, and I'll teach you taxidermy." And I said to my mom, "Oh my God, like, can you take me in there?" And my mother, God rest her soul, was like, "Absolutely, Danny, I'll take you in there." So she would take me in, and there was like a half a dozen of us or so that would learn how to mount a pheasant, etc. And then you just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And then fast forward, so I started to do some deer heads at whatever, and then fast forward like in 1986. So you've been to Africa, I've been to Africa,
Yep.
And it's one of those deals where either you've always wanted to go to Africa or you never really cared about it at all. And I always wanted to go to Africa. So this will date me for sure, but I would write letters to my outfitter in 1986 to Africa. I'm going, I really want to come. Like, how much does it cost? And he would be like, it's $100 a day. I'm like, whew, that's too much. Like, will you do it for $75 a day? And so,
Oh yeah, if we could go for $100 a day or $75 a day
yeah,
now, that'd be amazing.
but what you have to remember is like, it would be like a couple of months between this correspondence. I would write him a letter. He would write me back.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
and so eventually in 1986, when nobody was going to Africa, myself and a really good friend of mine, Phil Van Kirk from the Sheriff's Department, flew over to Africa and bow hunted. And so 86, 96, 06, 16, 26, almost 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody was going to Africa back then. I couldn't wait to go.
And so then that's when you really, so Northwoods Taxidermy
Yep.
is what you started.
Yep.
Which I actually didn't know that because when I got into hunting, it was really Kyle that was doing Northwoods.
Sure, yeah. Yep.
And then I was like, oh, that was Dan's baby. Okay. So when you went to Africa, and by the way, just so you know, I might be the one outlier in your story there because I have traveled all over the world.
Yep.
And for some odd reason, Africa was never really in my scope. That was a cute little play on words, wasn't it? Since
Right.
we're talking about hunting. But it was one of those things where I was like, it'd be cool to go, but I don't really need to go. It's not on my bucket list. Whatever. It was one of those things until we were at an SCI
Sure.
auction
Right.
and
Right.
there was an opportunity to go to Namibia.
Oh.
Now I'm completely hooked. Like, I mean, completely hooked. Like, I will go there every year for the rest of my life,
I totally get it. Yeah.
It's
Totally
it's
get it.
amazing, but it's so funny that wasn't really just in my sights.
Well, it's sort of like I said earlier. It's like either you've always wanted, like I have really dear friends that deer hunt with me. If I were to offer them a free trip to Africa, everything all in, they'd be like, not interested.
What?
I don't even, yeah, totally. It's just not a deal, But for me, maybe I read too many Robert Rourke books or Peter Hathaway Capstick books, and I was just hooked. I mean, Africa is just like an incredible, so a funny story, like when I land in Johannesburg, and I've been to Africa quite a bit. So when I land in Johannesburg or wherever, I always have this feeling like I'm coming home.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't explain that, but it's in my heart and soul. Like when I land, I just think, oh, okay, you're back home.
That's okay. So that's how I feel. So,
Yeah.
so much so. So, okay. So when I actually bid on that live auction item,
Yeah. Okay.
I-
Right. You didn't know what you were getting into.
well, I had never hunted
Right.
anything more than a duck or a pheasant.
Yep.
And I'd never hunted deer, nothing. And so here I was, I'm going to go hunt big game in Africa. That was, but,
Yep.
but that's the whole like push past fear and self-doubt. Just go for
For sure.
it. Yeah. And I feel the same way, to the point where, Randy and I are, semi-engaged. I don't know how you put it, but, we are getting a diamond from Namibia.
Oh yeah.
We're talking about getting married in Namibia.
Oh, for sure.
It
Yep.
literally means that much to us.
Yep.
And especially for me, there's certain places I've been in this world where I feel completely at home.
Yep.
And that is one of the places. Switzerland for me, again, that was another one of those places where I would wake up in the morning and go for a hike by myself, and it just felt home.
Yep,
It's
I
just,
get it.
it's just, I don't know if it was the mountains or whatever, but for sure, Africa definitely feels like home.
Yeah, and I think the very essence of hunters, is the hunters and gatherers, which is how we all originated. We've gone so much past that, but all of us originated as hunters and gatherers, and the very origin of hunters and gatherers is Africa. And so I think it's in your heart and your soul, or it's not. Sometimes we forget where McDonald's hamburgers come from. And so we've been desensitized to all of that. But I get it.
So
I get it.
It's really interesting, and I've never talked extensively about hunting on this podcast, but it's something that I've always wanted to do because when I first got into hunting, I was very careful about who I said it to, because I know there's a lot of people that, oh my God, you hunt, that's terrible. It's so mean.
Sure.
Um, and I'm just going to say that we go to a lodge in Africa and they have tourists come that don't hunt.
Sure.
And every single night they eat the meat that we harvest.
Right.
And they have 2 to 3 servings and they love every bit of it. But we are completely separated from them.
Yep.
Because they don't want to hear about us hunting.
So what's funny about that is I will say to people, if you choose not to hunt, I respect that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like that's cool. Like if that's your thing, if you don't want to do that, it's totally fine with me. But I do. I do choose to do that. And it's ethical and it's honest and it's fair chase and it's organic. And so
it's way better than a bunch of cattle standing on concrete being fed whatever they're fed, that crap. And, it's just amazing to me that, you can say, oh, hunting is bad. And then you sit and eat a burger from God knows where, God knows how those cattle were treated, right? These are free range animals that, like you said, fair chase, right? And the meat is so good.
You won't get more organic than that.
No.
So, I'll change topics for just a second,
Yeah.
but some of the highest growing number of people participating in hunting is these Gen X people who want to have organic meat, who want to have, things that are, free of all pesticides and everything else. And I also go back to the fact that this is who we are as humans, as human beings from millenniums ago, that we were hunters and gatherers. That's in the core of your being. You can choose to dismiss it if you want, but it's who you are. And maybe you've made choices differently after that, but it still is who you are.
It is.
In my opinion.
No, I completely agree with you. And I guess I didn't think much about hunting until I started doing it. And all the things that you can learn from hunting. I mean, let's talk about pushing past fear, okay? Because, you're out there with animals that are how many times the size of you,
Yeah, it depends.
And and so, so you have to have bravery. You have to be patient. Oh, Lord, you have to be patient. You have to have humility. You have to plan and have strategy. There's camaraderie involved. I mean, there's so many things, but for me, being out in nature and learning to be in nature, because you cannot be a human. You have to try to not be a human as much as you can when you're out hunting. Would you?
Yeah, I would agree. And what I think really happens with newer hunters is you're far more interested in your bag limit and what you've accomplished and what you've taken home. And then as you mature, theoretically, you're far more interested in the environment and the people you're with and the experience and fair chase. And, it's so funny. I can get actually emotional about it sometimes. It's like, especially recently, last 10 or 15 years, like when I'm lucky enough to harvest an animal, like I was just in Manitoba in the spring, and I shot a nice bear. I go there every year. It's a great camp, and when the bear is there, I'll say to the outfitter, and I had it last year, like I've got a farm in Buffalo County. I said it last year when I shot a buck. I'm like, could you just leave us for a second? Like, could you just leave the two of us, meaning myself and this animal, for a moment? And you either get it or you don't. And they totally get it. And they're like, oh yeah. And I'll, sounds silly probably, but I'll have this conversation with this animal that's dead, that I killed, that I'll say, thank you so much for providing this for my family and for my friends. And just being respectful of the situation, and, I mean, it's not like it lasts for hours. It's like probably a 30-second or a 1 minute or 2 minute conversation, but I think it's important to be respectful of what you've just done. I think it's extremely important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's beautiful. And it's so important to remind people too that these animals are consumed as food.
Totally.
And
Absolutely. Yeah.
and when you're in, I know that other countries do this also, but I can speak to Africa that every single part of that animal is eaten.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. Yeah.
every night we eat animals that we not always that we kill because some you can't eat them
Yeah.
right that
Yeah.
same night, but
Could be the
they keep
previous hunt or whatever.
right
Yeah.
exactly,
Right.
and they keep it in the freezer and they feed all of the
Yep.
tourists that come through. They
Yep.
feed us. It's a great business plan for them, right?
Oh, yeah.
Um,
It is.
but um, the things that you witness when you're there, we have trackers that will come out and help us because there is nothing more heartbreaking and frustrating than if you can't find an animal, right?
Sure.
And we've all gone
Absolutely. Yeah.
through
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Of
It's a
course.
learning process and
Yep.
whatever, but sometimes you have to get a bunch of trackers out to help you. And the trackers, one morning, we had this big bucket of just nastiness, okay, in the back of the truck.
Sure.
And I didn't know what we were doing with it. And so I asked the guide and I said, well, what's all this? And they said, oh, we're taking it to the trackers. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like the stomach and the guts and, all the nasty stuff, right?
Yep.
That we don't eat. You've never seen people so happy to
Yep.
get a bucket of what we would consider disgusting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were so thankful. And they saw us the next day and they're like, are you going to need us today? Because
Sure.
they want more of it,
Right.
And they even get paid there.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
All the employees get paid in meat per week,
Yep.
plus the
Plus
money.
wages. Right.
Yeah, the wages
Sure.
that they
Yeah.
get in money.
Yeah.
And then they get the meat, and they, I saw one of the trackers took home, like the leg to the hoof, like,
Mhm.
and I said, oh, it was in a bag, and what are you doing with that? Oh, well, I'm taking it home. We're going to eat it. They eat every part of that
Right,
animal.
right.
It's amazing to me, and it's so cool that they're so thankful for it.
Well, and I think so. We talk a lot about Africa, which is true, and everything you've said is 100% true. But whether you're hunting a pheasant in Wisconsin or a deer in Wisconsin or a bear, whatever, I think the most important part is to be grateful and to be respectful of that animal, And so, I've got a daughter that hunts, and she's hunted with me all over, and it's passing on that tradition of just being respectful and grateful for the experience you've just had.
Yeah, yeah, it's very cool. Okay, so that was the hunting segment of
That's
of
hunting.
our show.
Yep.
Okay, hunting, taxidermy. Now I really want to talk about this whole Ironman thing, okay? Because
Sure.
it is so foreign to me. I work out, I play
Yeah.
sports, I will push myself physically to a limit, but running is just not my thing. Biking, not my thing. And
So funny enough, it's really not my thing either,
All right.
but right.
So,
right.
so tell
Yeah.
me, because you were just telling me before this all started, you were telling me how you got into running, accidentally, kind of, sort of.
Well, I just thought I should. I was working at the sheriff's department. I thought, gosh, I should be exercising a little bit or something. So I started, for some reason, I started to run. And I told you earlier, like, I can remember the moment and I can remember the road I was on.
But wait, you never played sports growing up?
I was horrible. Like, I was I was a complete non-athlete. I could not make any team ever. So I went to Brookfield East, like wrestle a little bit, was horrible, like couldn't make any, like I was a terrible athlete, and so no, I was like, and still am not very good at any of those things, But I started to run, and I can remember the moment when I was like, oh my gosh, like I ran 3 miles without stopping. It took me like a month to get to that point, but 3 miles. And I thought, then at one point I thought, I wonder if I could go further than that, And then it turned into 4 miles and 5 miles and, and
that's what it's all about, right? Like once you push past something that you didn't think you could do, or you never fathomed you would ever do it, right? It just wasn't even on your radar. And then all of a sudden you
Right.
have that confidence, right? Like you push past it and you're like, holy crap, I just did that, which means I can do more.
For sure, and it's not about competing with anybody else. It's internalizing and trying to do better for yourself, period. Because like as much as I've been involved in athletics in the last 8 or 9 years or whatever, it's like there is always somebody bigger, stronger, faster, etc. It's like, how are you doing? And like, are you challenging yourself to be better? And if you're running 15-minute miles, which to be honest is fairly slow, could you maybe do 14:30s? Maybe, and so push yourself, and there's going to be highs and lows. It's like some days you're going to do good and some days you're going to be bad, but just, honor yourself and be respectful of yourself. That, I say to people all the time, you're in the top 1%. It's like, you want to know what? Because you may have just done a 15-minute mile, but 99% of the human population or of the people in your age group and gender never got off the couch today. So be grateful for what you're doing.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's the problem, is that we compare ourselves to others too often.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad. Like, look at magazines. It's like, oh my Lord, like there's no guy in the world that actually looks like that. I know what I look. I don't look anything like that. But you want to know what? I'm going to do the best I can for me.
Right.
Right. And yeah.
And so let's go from 3 miles to Ironman. Like, how did that happen? How long did that take?
It was, first of all, I'll be the first to say I'm not the smartest guy in the whole world. Like I can be fairly dense in some areas, and this was clearly one of them. So I continued my running, and at one point I thought, oh my gosh, like, do you think I could do a marathon? Like 26.2, like that seems unbelievable. Well, I did it, it wasn't pretty, but I did it, and then I did a couple more. And if I could do it, that means literally, trust me, anybody can. If I can do it, it's determination and mindset.
I was just going to say that. I'm like, that is true and not true all at the same time, right? You have the determination, you have the mindset. If you don't go into it with the right mindset, I don't care how fit you are.
Right.
You could be way more fit than you, but you're not finishing that marathon if you don't have the right mindset, right?
No, 100%, and it's just like, you just have to believe in yourself, and you have to accept failure, because failure is part of the process. And I've been doing it long enough to, like, I ran this morning, I ran yesterday, and some of them are good and some of them are horrible. I mean, here in Wisconsin, it's been humid and hot.
Yeah.
I did some long runs in the last 2 weeks. I had to walk, I ran out of water. It was terrible. But at the end of the day, I get back and I'm like, I did the best I could,
All right. Tell us how old you are.
I'm 67. I'll be 68 in September.
That's amazing.
Was it really necessary to ask that question?
It was totally necessary.
Okay, all right.
I'm 57. Does that make you feel better?
It does.
I just went right out and said it.
Right, there you go. Yeah.
And now everybody knows how old we are.
Right.
Why would you be ashamed of that? You are fit. You're going out running. I mean, you should be proud of your age.
Yeah, I am. It's good. I've been blessed, and
look at how much hair you have.
that I credit to my mother and father. That has nothing to do with me. But yeah, again, it's good. So I had done some marathons, and there was a place in Delafield at the time called it was called oh gosh, what is the name of it? It was Endurance House.
Yes.
And
So
I would go in there to buy shoes, and the guy Jason Jensen owned it at the time, and I literally went there to buy shoes because I was running, and there happened to be an Ironman video playing, and I was retired from the sheriff's department, and he's like, "What do you think of that?" I went, "I've never thought anything of that. I don't even really know what that is." He went, "That's an Ironman. Have you ever thought about doing one?" And I thought, never. I've never one time thought about doing an Ironman.
And how old were you then? Now I'm just going to keep asking.
Yeah,
it.
no, it's good. So I'm 67 now. I was probably 57, 58, something like that. I wasn't exactly a spring chicken, but I was retired, you know. And he said, so the Wisconsin Ironman registration is open right now. And it fills up really quick. Like, would you want to sign up for it? And you know, I must have been having a Tourette's moment or whatever, you know, but I was like, yeah, okay, I'll sign up for it. And he gets on the computer and he logs.
57, you signed up for Ironman. You've never done it
Oh,
before.
it gets worse. It gets way worse than this. And he logged it in and he said, put your credit card in. And I said, oh my Lord, it costs $800 to do this? Like, are you kidding me? That's stupid. And he said, you still want to do it? And I went, okay. And I put my credit card in,
Okay,
you know.
but why did you say okay at that moment in time?
You know,
Challenge?
Yeah, it was a challenge. And, you know, I just thought, well, to be honest, some of it was stupidity. Like, I really didn't know what I was getting into, you know.
But it was $800 of something you don't know you're getting into. What inspired you to say?
I like to be challenged, you know. And then so he went through, he said, oh my God, you're in for Ironman. So this was like in the winter of 16. So this was the winter of 2016. And he said, you're in. So the race is like September of 16. You're all set. So it was like 9 months away. And then he was like, are you a good swimmer? And I'm like, I can't swim. Like I can tread water to stay like not sink, but I can't swim. He was like, really? I'm like, yeah. I said, what kind of bike do you have? And I'm like,
I don't have a bike.
I don't own a bike. I haven't had a bike since I was 9 years old. And I'm thinking, how hard can biking be? You go downhill at like 15 miles an hour, you know? And then he was like,
$800 just turned into like 3,000.
Yeah, so keep in mind, he owns a triathlon shop. So he's like, ding, ding, ding. He's like, you're going to need a bike. You're going to need some help. So he said, you need to hire a coach. And so I hired this dude, Dwight Sanfold, who is the kindest. He's such a good dude. You know, I hired him as my coach. And
give the rundown quick of the Ironman. Like how many miles biking, running, swimming? Like what are you doing in an
I really
Ironman?
didn't know when I signed up. So you swim 2.4 miles.
Lord.
And so a mile is 1760. So it's like 4,200 yards. You get out of the water, change your clothes, jump on your bike, and bike for 112 miles.
On your tricycle.
Yep, and this on a bike I haven't owned yet, you know. I'm like, how hard can that be? And then you get off the bike and you run a full marathon, 26.2.
Come on.
So
you're 57 and you're like,
yeah.
You
So
paid, now you're thousands of dollars into this by now, right?
and I'm thinking again, I'm sort of thinking, how hard can this be? You know, like there's a lot of people doing it, you know. And so it's 140.6 miles, not 0.2, not 0.4. It's 140.6 miles when you're done, and you have 17 hours to complete it. It starts typically at 7 a.m. The cannon goes off, and you have till midnight to complete it. No breaks, no stops. Well, you can stop and take a rest if you want to, but you're not going to make the cutoff. And at midnight, the bell tolls, and either you made it or you didn't, you know? And so,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was, I'm not saying it was a smart thing to do at all, you know?
Okay. So first Ironman, how'd you do?
So my goal was to finish. So you have 17 hours. And, I thought, oh my Lord, if I can finish this, it'll be unbelievable. And so I can remember a lot of these times, like at 15 hours and 49 minutes. I can remember it. And so it was Wisconsin, and Wisconsin's Ironman is the most iconic Ironman borderline in the world. It finishes on State Street. And so, you know, we all know State Street in Madison, you know, and I'll never forget it.
It's the capital city.
Yeah. I can get so emotional talking about some of this stuff. You know, you're doing this for like 15 hours, like nonstop. You get out of the water, you're on the bike, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then you're on State Street and some security guy goes, one right and one left, and you're done. And you round the corner and you hear Mike Riley, the voice of Ironman, across the loudspeaker, and you see thousands of people on the bleachers. I've never done drugs in my life, but it was like a main line of heroin, like where I couldn't hardly walk before, I was sprinting towards the finish, which goes to, in your mind, what do you have left? How far do you want to go? How deep do you want to dig? And so, you know, the old Ironman axiom or running axiom is you can go as hard and as fast as your mind will allow you to, within reason, injuries, etc.
Yeah. Within reason and within, like you said, injuries, nutrition,
Sure.
all that
No
stuff,
doubt.
right?
No doubt.
But our mind gives out way before our body does.
It does. It does. And so my coach, Dwight, who I mentioned before, Dwight Sandvold, said it so well. Like during the course of this day, and so you can use this day as a way to compare to your life, if you will. It's like there are going to be dark moments. There will be. We all experience them in life. Death, disorder, illness, kids, marriages, divorce, we all experience it. But you have to know that these dark moments will pass. And I have 100 examples of where I've thought, dear Lord, I am about ready to tip over. And then it's there. You just have to reach for it. You know, you just have to reach for it.
What experiences in your life or how you were raised or were you born with it? Like, this is something I always think about, right? That you got to that point where you could push past mentally. Like, was it little things all along the way? Was it, maybe you look back and, when you were 6, you were just that way as a kid? I mean,
no, none of it. None of it. I can tell you what, I am no different. I am no better than anybody else. We all have it. Everybody has it. You just have to reach for it, and you have to believe in yourself, and you have to have a mindset that like Dwight said, there's going to be dark moments. So in life, it's like, have you gone through a divorce? I have, super painful. Have you gone through difficult childhood issues? Absolutely. Have you gone through difficult career changes and issues? 1,000%. Run for election sometime and see how that goes,
Lord.
But you just have to believe that these moments will pass, because they will. They absolutely will. You just have to believe it. And it may take longer, like I've had some dark moments that took a long time to get past, but they do, and I think it's the mindset of believing in yourself and believing that these moments will pass.
And believing that you're not a victim.
1,000%. Absolutely.
You're not a victim. If you, for 1 second, think you're a victim, you can't get past anything else. Because it's not, you're not in charge of your life. You're not in charge of your mindset. You're not in charge of your next step. And it's all about baby steps. You said you can be in these dark, times for a long time, but as long as you're taking little tiny baby steps, right, to get out of it.
For sure.
I mean, I think we look too far into the future sometimes, or think we need to get better, really quickly, right? And if we're not getting better really quickly, then we're failing.
Well, here's an analogy I used to use with employees when I was at the sheriff's department, and I try to use in my own life. It's like, so I joke and say, so I had 400 employees at the sheriff's department. Surprise, not all of them liked me, okay? And so that's just a fact, And so what I would say is, in that situation, in triathlon, in life, in marriage, in divorce, in death, it's like, I have no control over how people perceive me. I have no control of how people think about me. And I have zero control about how they think that I will act. But I have 100% control over how I treat people, how I push myself, how I engage other people, and how I try to be ethically engaged in business and in relationships. I have 100% control over that. And so if somebody is whatever it is, like if my race isn't going good, okay, I get it, but like I'm only in charge of me. I can't be in charge of that person who sees me in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
That's just,
Yeah, everybody is in charge of their own reaction to a situation.
100%.
And it's okay to be angry.
Oh,
It's
for
okay.
sure.
It's okay to be all of those things, but that is your reaction that you are responsible for.
Yep.
And that's what we need to remember. Again, getting out of that victimhood, right? Saying,
Right.
okay, I'm angry right now. That's my reaction to the situation, but it's my reaction. And so that person may have done something I didn't like, but I don't know really where they're coming from because we interpret things. Oh my God, we make stories up in our head about things that, whatever, right?
And usually it's an overreaction. Usually
Right.
how we think we're being perceived is far different than we actually are.
Yes.
Usually.
Yes. And like you said, it's believing in yourself, right? So you did, like you touched on, I act in integrity. I do the best I can.
I'm only responsible for me.
I'm only responsible for me. And so if I've done the best I can and I'm acting in integrity and I've pushed myself and done the best I can, if somebody perceives me in a different way, in a negative way, that's on them at that point.
True. Absolutely.
And I can't let it affect me. And it's so hard for us to do that, right? Because
that's what I was going to say. It's all true. Everything you said is true, but it's easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
Like intellectually, we can say that and we can spew that out and we get it, but then actually doing it is not easy. I can give you two examples. It's like, so I did a race. So talking about Ironman. So that was the first one in 2016 or whatever it was. So I've done 15 full distance Ironmans.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I went to the World Championship in Kona, Hawaii last year. But before that, I did a race in, I can't remember where it was. Anyways, so it was a World Championship race. And when I say World Championship, it's like not because I was good. I was too stupid to stop doing them. And if you do so many, they just invite you to these things, And so I'm doing this race with a friend of mine, Russ, and it was not going well. It was a horrible race. And I saw him on the run, and I saw him, and I said, I'm not going to make the cutoff. I mentioned that the cutoff is 17 hours. I'd already done the math. Not going to make the cutoff. Like, not by a long shot. And you get to the 13-mile mark of the run, and it takes you right to the finish line. There's a sign that says finish, and there's a sign that says second lap. And you so just want to cheat and go into the finish line, So you run out, and I thought, I don't even know why I'm going, because they're going to pull me off the course. At mile 14, I got so angry with myself. Nobody else, just with myself. And I thought, you have suffered through this entire day and you're not going to finish? And I thought, dude, you have one chance. You better start running. And I mean, I was walking most of the marathon. Like I couldn't even run. I was just like, I was dehydrated. I was sick. And at mile 14, I just started to run. Anyways, long story short, I finished with plenty of time to spare. And this friend of mine, Jack, who said to me later, he said, do you know that is the slowest race you've ever had? I said, oh yeah, I know it. And I didn't know where he was going, but it was true. And he said, but I'll tell you what, that was the best race you've ever had. Because we were all tracking you from home. St. George, Utah is where it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he said, we were all tracking you from home. And when you were on the marathon, we realized you were never going to make it. You were going to get pulled off the course. And then suddenly your splits were getting faster and faster and faster. And he said, it's the best race you've ever had.
Was this the one where you had to ask for somebody to take your shoes?
Yeah. Yeah, that's embarrassing. So I got off the bike, which was a train wreck, and I was in what they call T2, where you change from your bike stuff to your run stuff. And I had like severe stomach cramps, and it was just ugly. And there was a volunteer there, and I said, like, I don't know the rules. I don't want to cheat. Like, can you help me? He's like, oh, yeah, I can help you. What do you need? I said, I'll never get my bike shoes off. If I go to take my bike shoes off, bend down, I'm never getting back up. He said he took them off. He said, do you want me to put your run shoes on? I said, yeah, I'll never get them on. I'll never be able to tie them. This is the mindset,
Right.
So he ties them and points to the exit where you start the marathon. And I thought, oh my Lord, you've got to be kidding me, But then you just go and you do it. It's your mindset,
Yeah. And
you are capable of so much more. You are, but just not physically, but mentally. Like when you're so beaten down mentally, and we've all been there. You go through divorce, you go through a job change, you get fired from your job. We've all been there. Like you think you're done. You haven't even started.
Yeah.
You have not even started.
And so I love the analogy of, making it through this Ironman, right? Just saying, screw it, I'm going for it. I'm not giving up. I know I can do this. I have more left in the tank, and I just have to tell myself I can do this. And then you get done in that accomplishment, right? But there's so many other aspects of your life that you can apply that to.
Oh, of course. That's just one tiny aspect. So then you think to yourself after that, it's like, if I can do that, and I want to go back to, it's like, I'm a horrible athlete. I'm not really good at any of it. People will say to me like, what's your best discipline? Running, swimming, or biking? I'm like, I'm horrible at all of them. I can get through it, but I'm not good at any of them. But if you can use that analogy, if you can overcome difficult situations, forget about Ironman. Let's just say like you got fired from your job and you're like, oh my God, I'll never be able to recover from this. But you do. When you get divorced, and divorce is so painful, it's so difficult. And you think to yourself, my gosh, I'll never get over this. But you do. It goes to Dwight Sandvold's analogy. There is going to be dark moments. Understand it. Life is tough.
Yeah.
It's not whether or not those situations are going to occur, because trust me, in everybody's life, they will occur. It's how you react to them. That is the difference. Some people fold up their tent and go home. And I get it. And other people say, this is not going to be easy. We talked earlier about, whatever, alcoholism, drug abuse, sexual abuse, whatever it is, we've all been through extremely difficult things. It's how you react to it that makes the difference.
Right. And it's how you push past it, how you go through it, right?
Yep.
Because you can't go around it. If you go around
yeah.
it, you're never processing it. It'll always be there. It'll always be pulling you back, dragging you back.
Yeah.
You have to go through it. Just like finishing that race, you had to go through it.
Yep.
You had to go through the pain. You cannot go around it. And
Right.
and so many of us try to go around it or avoid it or stay back and never go forward, type of thing. And it will keep you down forever.
It will, and we have a tendency of looking at the other people in our lives with these rose-colored glasses and think they have such a good life. They're so together. They have the perfect family. Trust me, they have the same issues and the same problems, perhaps on a different level than we're going through, but there will be dark moments in life. Trust me. It's not, again, whether or not they're going to occur. Trust me, they're going to occur.
Yeah.
It's how you react to them.
And get to know people. Connect
True.
with people, because
Yep.
that person that you're sitting there looking at and saying they have this wonderful life and they've never gone through hardships and that's why everything's great and wonderful for them. Bullshit. Sit down and talk to them, ask them questions, be curious, open yourself up, be vulnerable to them, and you will find out that they have very similar issues to you. You know, there is not a person in this world, no matter how successful they are, that haven't woken up at 2 a.m. and thought, I'm an imposter. What the hell am I doing?
Or have no idea how they're going to get themselves out of this mess, you know, like whatever it might be, financial, relationship, business, whatever it is, because we all have those same messes on different levels. It's like you just have to believe in yourself and you have to dig in because it's there. It is there. You know, alcoholism, drug abuse, sexual abuse, job problems, whatever it might be. Ironman is an analogy, but it's one thing about how you overcome difficult situations, you know?
Yeah, but but that's why I think doing now, I'm not saying everyone should go out and sign up for
I would say
Ironman.
don't. I would say don't. My advice is don't do that. Yeah.
But do things that push you past your comfort zone. Do things that make you uncomfortable. Because once you start doing those things, you will realize that you are bigger and stronger than your situation.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So we all so it's funny. It's like, so when we have kids and when we have relationships, it's like, so, like I always thought I would like to have children or somebody that's like exactly like me. Cause I think I'm a really good person, you know,
Of course you are.
and so quintessentially my daughter is the complete opposite of me. And she is so perfect in her way. And so we do many things together that we have like interests. And she is so different from me in so many ways, but it's good. And so I push myself to understand what she likes and try to incorporate that into some of our common life. And she does the same to me. And so we push each other's limits, but it's like, yeah, it's what makes life interesting. What makes life worth living. You know, it's what makes us human, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So before we get going, tell me what's the next chapter for you? Where are you going?
So I'm done. I'm done with Ironman. So I went to Kona last year, which is a very difficult race.
That's one of the hardest, isn't it?
Well, it's not particularly hard other than the weather conditions.
Yeah,
it's super hot and it's like it's the epitome of Ironman. Ironman originated in Hawaii, and you can do 1,000 Ironman and everybody's always going to say, have you done Hawaii? And it's like, well, no, I never have. But so I did Hawaii. And so again, I got invited there, did it, and I finished. It was a very difficult race, but I finished. And so I said, end of story. So I'll be 68 years old and I just did that race last year. That's enough.
That's amazing.
But I enjoy running. And so my daughter, God bless her, Abby. So we did a half marathon together last year, the Milwaukee Lakefront half marathon. And while we were doing that, she said to me, Dad, do you think I could ever run a marathon? And I'm like, and Abby is like me in that neither one of us are really gifted athletes, you know? And I'm like, absolutely. What, do you believe you could do a marathon? If you believe you could, you could. So we're signed up for a marathon in December in California. And I signed up for Marine Corps Marathon because I'm not a really good swimmer. I don't really like biking, but I do like running. And so a friend of mine and I, Mark Phillips and I are doing Marine Corps Marathon in end of October.
Is that Miramar, San Diego? Where is that?
No, it's the 50th anniversary of Marine Corps Marathon in Washington, D.C. You go past all of the monuments and, you know, like to me, maybe being a cop or whatever, like I'm very military oriented and like the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and all that. It just makes me weep, you know? And so this race goes through all the monuments. There's Marines at all of the aid stations. There's Marines that, you know, put the medal around your neck and
That's
stuff.
very cool.
So yeah, that's what's on it's running from now on. I've biked one time this entire summer so far with my daughter. We did 13 miles, and I went, that's enough of that. You know, yeah. So it's
Well,
more
I've never
fun.
even done a 5K, so you guys are way ahead of me.
It's good.
So what's your dream hunting trip like? What
Well, so
what
funny.
that you haven't done already,
Well,
or would do again, I should say.
so I leave in 3 weeks or less for Zambia, a place. So again, I hunted Africa the first time in 1986, and I've had a chance to hunt all over, and I want to go back and experience old Africa. And I'm going back there with a really dear friend of mine that I've hunted with a lot, that is going through some really difficult physical situations right now, and so it's going to be like a bit of a trip down memory lane with a guy I've hunted with before, and Zambia is like old Africa. You know, like the area is 1 million acres. There's 0 inhabitants, wild elephants, wild lions, all the above. It's like a Robert Rourke book.
That's
and so
really cool.
yeah, so we leave July 21st. So that's
Have you been to Victoria Falls?
many times. Yeah,
It's amazing. Isn't
love Vic Falls. It's like, yeah, I love Victoria Falls. When my mother, God rest her soul, when she was in her early 70s, I took her to Africa and took her to Vic Falls. And so my mother and I did this sundowner cruise, quote unquote, sundowner cruise on the Zambezi River, and we got hammered on champagne. My mother and I. She was in her early 70s, and it's one of my fondest memories. Yeah.
That is so awesome.
Yep.
We were lucky enough. We just went this year, and it was rainy season. So the falls is amazing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yep.
they're like, you might want, an umbrella or a
Raincoat,
rain
yeah.
jacket. We were soaked. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
absolutely drenched.
Yeah.
And, we didn't go in the falls. It's just the mist that comes up and everything. But
Yeah.
what a spectacular place.
Vic Falls is so cool, and I've read many books about it, and the old, Dr. Livingston, I presume, quote that came about, and the history of how Victoria Falls was first seen by a white man, and I mean, it's really incredible, and yeah, great stories and great history. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Well, we love Africa, so
Yep.
we go back in May, but I'll probably be back there before then.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
We got to
I
go
love
get a
it.
diamond.
Indeed. Oh, yeah. There are great diamonds to be had there, no doubt
Yes,
about it.
Yes, that's where they get them. And by the way, I feel the need to say this. They're not blood diamonds people, like
Right.
they are
No,
not.
no,
They,
they're-
it's a really cool thing, actually, real quick before we go. In Namibia, they teach the women how to cut the diamonds.
Okay. That's one of the countries
On
I've actually
purpose.
never been to. I've never been to Namibia, and it's sort of on my bucket list.
Okay, well, come to our wedding.
Yeah. Okay, I might.
You're the first person invited to our wedding that I don't
Okay.
even know where it's going to be.
Okay.
But let's just plan it now.
So
It's in
just be
Namibia.
careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. So that's an old analogy as well,
I would love it. Yeah, no, Namibia is a pretty cool place too. It's just
Yeah.
very. They have an area next to the ocean of sand dunes, where these huge sand dunes go right into the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
It's the only place in the world that it happens. It
Yeah.
is I saw pictures of it. Like any place that you travel to, right? And you see the photos, you see even videos on YouTube, right? And until you get there,
Yeah.
we took photos. You can't explain it in
Right,
photos. You
right.
have to experience it. The Great Wall of China. My photos are just kind of like, yeah, that's cool.
Right.
Yeah, like you have to be there to see
Yeah.
it. Taj Mahal, you have to be there to see it. I mean, there's
Right.
just so many places that, get out and explore the world. I just, if you've got the means or find the means, you've got to go out and see this world, because there's so much to see.
Well, and going back to how we originally started, Betsy, it's just like, so Ironman is an analogy or whatever it is, but it's like every single person, every person has the ability to look inside of themselves and find something that surprises them and find something that they didn't know was there. And I'll go back to alcohol abuse, drug abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, whatever it is, marriage, fired from jobs. I've been through the whole gamut, okay? It's just like, it's there. You just have to dig for it. It is there. Trust me, it's there. You have to want it and you have to search for it, but it's there.
I absolutely love that you just said that. That was the most amazing thing, to find something within yourself that surprises you.
It's there,
Because we all
Most people are
have.
too afraid, including myself. Most people are too afraid to go there because it's a dark place, but you will come out of it in a bright spot and in a bright light. And it's just, you just have to dig. You have to want it and you have to dig for it, but it is there.
But you have to want it. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
You have
do.
you don't just say you want it. People say, I want this, I want that, but I'll never get it because, I was born into this, what, you know what I'm saying? Like they,
Sure. Yep.
or like you sitting there saying, I'm not an athlete. Well, I got news for you. You
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Because nobody does an Ironman and isn't an athlete. You're an athlete.
I get it. And so to a certain extent, that goes to self-worth, to a certain extent. I totally get what you're saying, but even as I sit here today, I'm thinking, so you go to true story, you go to an Ironman event to register. Everybody is like unbelievably fit. And you think, oh my God, this is really just not that big of a deal. Everybody does it. Like, look around. Everybody's doing this. It's like, well, not everybody's doing it, you know, but that goes to self-worth. And it's like, it's just a huge deal. And you just have to believe in yourself.
It's a very small population that does Ironman.
Yeah, for sure. But it's like, it's a very small population of people that do a lot of these different things. It's more about believing in yourself and totally understanding there will be dark moments, but they will go away.
Yeah.
They will go away.
They will go away. They will go away. But you have to work at it. There is nothing that's just going to happen to you.
Yeah, it doesn't happen on its own. Like, you have to want to make it work, and you have to, and there's some serious discussions with yourself, and I can remember some of those discussions. It's like, you going to pack it up and go home? Maybe, but I don't want to do that. You know, it's not who I am.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. So, well, thank you for being on today.
Pleasure. Yeah, it was good.
I love shaking my hand.
Yeah.
Shake my hand at the end of it. That's awesome.
No, it's good. Thank you for having me. It was good for me. It was good for me.
My God, it was such a joy, and I hope to have you on again because I think that we could probably talk about more. I think we've only hit the surface, but
yeah, I agree. I think I'm not actually a very interesting person, but it's.
but now you realize you are.
Yeah, I don't know if I am or not, but it's fun. And it's it's good to talk about it, and it's good to express it verbally and talk about different things that are going on. So
yeah,
dig deep. It's there.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Such an inspiration for people. So I just want to remind everybody that if you enjoyed this episode, if you were somehow you just were aligned with it, you felt, or you have questions about it, I want to hear questions, comments, like and follow, do all those great things so that I can get the word out there and spread inspiration to everybody. And thank you, Dan, for being on. And
Pleasure.
we'll see everybody soon.
Okay. Thanks,
right.
Betsy.
Awesome. Thank you.